Hi there, my name is Mike, and in this video I'm going to be showing the process for how to change the serpentine belt in a 2007 Chevrolet Colorado. This post should be applicable to most first generation Colorados as well as GMC Canyons and Hummer H3 pickup trucks. To perform this process you'll need a few things: a 3/8 drive socket wrench with a way to get a little more leverage on it. So I like to just put an extra socket and put some extensions on there. This isn't the safest way to do it. A better way is probably to use a breaker bar with a 3/8 extension adapter on it. It's a little hard to reach with a breaker bar though. I'll show you that in a moment. You're going to need the serpentine belt. This is a AC Delco GM part number 12611636. This is a GM OE original part. It was about $30 from Rock Auto. I ordered it online. You can also buy aftermarket non-OEM parts for typically around $15. Most auto parts stores should stock them, as well as available online, of course. I also have here some belt dressing. I don't like this stuff. I don't recommend it. I just wanted to show it here in case you're still getting a little bit of squeak after you change this. You could spray a little bit of this on there. Again, I don't really recommend it. If you're having a problem with your belt, your best bet is to do a mechanical repair rather than just try to gloss over it with some belt dressing. So this is the first time I'm recording a video using a tripod, on my car anyway. So I don't know if it'll help or make things harder, but I just want to show you. Actually, with the one other tool you almost certainly need is going to be a flashlight. So to make this a little easier, I already stuck another socket wrench on where the belt tensioner goes. So if you see that other socket wrench sticking up down there, there's a 3/8 square hole in that tensioner, and you need to put your socket wrench in that hole. And then what you'll do is you'll just apply pressure on that. It'll move this tensioner. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. It'll move the tensioner back, which will allow you to slip the belt off. Typically I found it's easier to slip the belt off in places that are easier to reach, and I'll show you that here around the driver's side of the vehicle. The idler pulley right down there isn't grooved, so it's pretty easy to slip the belt on and off at that point rather than trying to stretch it to get it over the lip of an accessory like the alternator there and push it onto the V's. So also down there you can see the fan. The water pump is directly behind that bell housing. Down there near the very bottom is the AC compressor. Over on the driver's side as well was the power steering pump down near the bottom. So process is pretty straightforward. You just need to use your socket wrench to put pressure on the tensioner, or release pressure on the tensioner, I guess I should say. That'll allow you to slip the belt off, and then you'll just pull the belt out and put the new one in. It is a little confusing how it wraps around everything. On older cars, I remember they always had a diagram for how the belt was intended to be installed. I just thought about that here. I don't see a diagram here, but really it can only go one way. If you get it on there and it's not fitting properly, then take it off and try again. So if you have any looseness at all, that means it's been improperly installed. So I'll probably pause the video here at a few points. Let's see if I can get the camera back on the tripod. Like I said, I've done this a few times, but I've never done it with a camera tripod, so I'm not sure if that'll make things, it's going to be in my way. So I don't want this to be too long, so I think I'll start by just showing you. And you want to watch for this, let's see if There's a sensor sticking out of the front of the engine right here. As you're doing this, you want to be careful not to accidentally put too much pressure on that sensor. You don't want to snap your sensor off or the wiring harness attached to it. So I'm just going to use my extender here. Oh, and my socket wrench just slipped all the way loose. I have to pull it out. So as I mentioned, I'll probably pause this video periodically when it gets to the really boring parts. But so what you want to do is get something on here that'll allow you to put pressure on this tensioner. And then pushing it this way, and I can actually grab it with my, I'm pushing it with my left hand, grabbing it with my right hand here, and I can actually have enough tension here that I'm able to slip it right off the side of the power steering pump. So I've got the belt loose now, and I'll bring the camera down here again in a second to show that. Let's go ahead and get my socket extender out of here. There's not a lot of room around the front of these i5 engines. I think if you're doing this on a 4-cylinder engine, it might be a little bit easier, because I think the engine is set back a little bit further in the engine compartment. Obviously, every vehicle is laid out a little bit different. So I'm just going to bring this camera around again and show you where the belt is now loose. So let's see. Here it is. So you can see where I just pulled it right there off of the power steering pump pulley. I'm going to go ahead and set the camera back up on here. So now that it's loose on one accessory, it's pretty much loose on everything. Either it's under tension or it's not, basically. Sometimes you got to kind of crawl underneath the vehicle to get the belt around the crankshaft down at the very bottommost pulley. And actually, that's something I would recommend, you know, just as you're doing this, you want to make sure that it's properly around all of the pulleys before you start the vehicle for the first time. And honestly, since I'm going to be replacing this belt, I could just cut it. But I did want to try to get it out properly. Sometimes I like to save an extra belt, you know, just throw it in the toolbox just in case something happens on your going down the road. Let's see. So here you can see the old belt has now been removed. I did have to pause the video again. The belt actually got a little snarled around the crankshaft pulley. I had to slide underneath and pull it loose. I've never had that happen before, but then again, I've never had a camera right in my way before either. So this belt is actually not in very bad condition. Typically, as they age, you'll start to see cracks and wear in the surface of it. But I wanted to go ahead and get this replaced anyway. Wintertime is coming. I just had my inspection. They said you should probably go ahead and change the belt. I don't think it's that bad. That was probably an upsell. They probably just wanted to try to get me to buy a belt while I was there, but I said no thanks, I'll do it myself. So here's the old belt. Like I said, I'm just going to bundle this up, stick it in my toolbox for an emergency, and then we're going to start putting the new belt on here. And again, to put it on, there's no real, 100% way, at least that I'm aware of. You kind of just have to feed it down through and wrap it around all of the accessories. Accessories that have a smooth side to them, like for example, the water pump housing, you want to wrap the smooth side of the belt around that. Accessories that have grooves, for example, the alternator or the power steering pump pulley, you want to make sure that the groove side of the belt interfaces with the grooves on the pulley. So I'm going to pause the camera again while I feed this down through there. Alright, and the new belt is installed. I'm sorry I can't show this more clearly. It's really sort of one of those things where you just kind of have to feel your way through, especially if you have big hands like mine. I will show you again. You can see the socket wrench still on there down there in the 3/8 hole that you need to use to loosen this. And it's around the power steering pump, the crankshaft down at the bottom, the alternator, the idler pulley over there, and then the AC compressor down at the bottom as well on the driver's side. So I can show you a couple tricks that help me personally. Again, this is probably not the safest thing to do. I'm sure, real mechanics are going to thumbs down my video for using this, but it's what works for me to give me the extra tension, the extra, to push that tensioner down far enough to slip the belt off. A breaker bar would work better, obviously, but it's hard to reach. I can't imagine doing this on a vehicle with less space. So I'm just going to kind of show it to you again from both sides. You can see it here around the alternator at the front, the water pump pulley. So something that helps me, again, like I mentioned, is on the Z71s, there's a pan, there's a tray underneath, sort of a rock guard, this plastic skid plate here. But you can still reach your hand underneath it there to get the belt around the bottom of the crankshaft sensor. And I don't know how well it's going to show up in this video, the air conditioning compressor. You can reach those through this hole. Likewise, on the other side, you can reach up through there, and that'll also give you a little room to get the to reach the crankshaft pulley there. You can take this plate off if you want to. It's only 4 bolts. It does help give you more room, but I found that even with my big hands, I'm able to reach through there. So let's take that socket wrench off, and then I'm going to start the engine and make sure that everything runs correctly. Should I do this with the camera on here? Let's see. Another thing I could suggest is if you feel uncomfortable working around the front of the engine, disconnect the negative terminal off your battery before sticking your hands down in there. Not likely that the engine is going to turn over, accidentally, but if you have any concerns at all, that's one additional thing you can do for safety, is always disconnect the negative terminal on the battery first. So, get my tools out of the way. And there you go. Actually, that's it. That's all there is to it. Do you hear how nice and quiet that is? Started right up, no squeaks, no chatter on the belt. I'll pull the camera loose one more time and let you see this from the sides a little bit with the engine running. That might help some people. Obviously, don't stick your hand anywhere near there with the engine running. And I've got to be careful because I've got a neck strap hanging from the bottom of my camera. I don't want that to get caught up in that belt or in that big fan there. So, be careful, take your time. Feel free to rewatch this video if that helps. Learn the positions of all of the accessories and what each one does. Sometimes while the belt is off, it's helpful to just kind of spin them freehand just to make sure that they're spinning properly. There's no grinding of gears or anything when you spin any of your accessories, especially things like the water pump. You know, while you're down there, look around, shine a flashlight around, make sure there's no water leaking from the water pump or anything. You know, this is your best chance to, you know, learn things yourself, do your own inspections. Don't trust the state to do it. The state does a very good job. I'm very happy they do the inspections, but they don't know your vehicle as well as you should know your vehicle. I hope this video has been helpful to you. If it is, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I do a lot of different car repair videos, computer repair videos, kind of a jack of all trades on, you know, different types of repairing things. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments and I'll try to answer as quickly as I can. Thank you, stay safe out there, and have a great day.